to see Brooklyn, Philly,
who
Milwaukee
Grandpa Parcells would like? Zion Williamson. Let's talk some NBA medals. I'll talk, you talk. We'll all talk at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to work.
Put him
he had
at
another
tight
terrific
end.
night last night. 28 points. Big win over your Boston Celtics, Nick. But too much competition around the league to get a medal.
Yeah.
Nick Wright, who makes your podium?
Yeah, tough.
Boston
Listen,
Celtics.
tough for the Celtics. Evan Fournier, their big trade deadline acquisition, a nice 0 for 10 in the Celtics debut. But he doesn't
Tough
make the
night.
podium. I'll tell you who does.
Not his Celtics.
The three best guards of the last decade. I said that right. The three best guards of the last decade make the podium. Who is it? You're about to find out. Steph, 32, 5, and 6. Welcome back, Steph. He gets the silver. Or he gets the bronze, pardon me. The silver. James Harden coming through with a humble little 38, 11, and 13. James Harden in the win over the Timberwolves. So how does 38, 11, and 13 not get the gold? I'll tell you how. Because Russell Westbrook had a game that quite literally no one has ever had in the history of basketball. Nobody's ever had a 35, 10, and 20. Russ had 35, 14, and 21. Every once in a while, Russ goes into the way back machine to 2017, Russ, and just puts on a show. Last night was one of those nights. The three best guards of the last decade are our three medal winners this evening, Jenna. So there is your podium. Steph, Harden, and
Brandon's
Russ.
getting dressed. What's up, Brandon?
No,
Brandon,
I'm just going to hold up my Harden. I'm going to hold up my Harden jersey. Here's the deal. This weekend, he had a 44-point triple-double, and I get it, you know, but you threw him at silver. You wanted to give Zion the gold yesterday. All right, I get the 21 assists. I'll give you that one. I just want the record to reflect that you keep giving him the silver when he could easily be the gold.
Would you have given him the gold?
So there's some type of bias.
Would you have given him the gold?
Hold
on.
Let's talk
Would you
about
have given him the gold last night?
Let's talk about it.
Okay, exactly.
Not last night. Not last night.
Come on.
21 assists.
It's good to see Russ get some love. He had a great game. Look, Harden tied Jason Kidd for the franchise record for triple-doubles in a season. Think about that. In what, 30 games or whatever he's played? That's unbelievable. That's MVP-like. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh,
just putting it out there.
What? No, what you
I'm just
talking
going to
about?
test the waters.
What?
Hey, Wilds, who missed the cut last night?
Oh, look at that. Who is that? Trae Young? Is that Steph Curry? Is that Logo Dame?
Wow.
No. Logo Dre from deep. I want to see this more often. I know they have the shot clock
He put his whole body into
but
that.
This is a shot you should take,
The
buddy,
whole
and leave
body
it up
went
there.
into that.
Let everybody know about it. Great job, Draymond.
All right, let's get back to the NFL draft. Who's your team targeting 30 days from now? Bucky Brooks with the answers still ahead. This is First Things First.
First Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Back here with Chris Broussard, talking Clippers, talking Bucks. Clippers without Paul George didn't matter. They got 20 or more points from 4 of their 5 starters. Big contributors. LA wins big, 129-105. Did you hear what I said? 129-105. There's a score. Nick Wright, did last night tell you more about the Clippers or the Bucks? Bang.
To me, this was more about the Clippers, but not in the way I think most people are going to expect it to have been. But it's a great win for them. It's an outstanding win for them. And I know what I'm about to say here is going to be a little counterintuitive, but I think, maybe I'm wrong, I think Broussard might actually end up agreeing with me on it. So last night, if you didn't watch the game, why'd the Clippers win? Well, they won because they shot over 50% from 3. Most notably, they had Marcus Morris, Patrick Peterson, and Luke Kennard combined to go 12 of 17 from 3. Just couldn't miss. And you might say, oh, okay, that happens.
Yeah.
Here's why last night was instructive to why I'm concerned about the Clippers. That's been happening to them all year at an unsustainable rate. Broussard, did you know the highest scoring team in the NBA is not the Brooklyn Nets? It's the Clippers. And more instructively, the best three-point shooting team in NBA history, better than any of the Warrior teams, better than the Suns teams of the 2000 aughts, is this year's Clippers team. 7 of their 9 rotation players are shooting career bests from 3. And so there's 2 ways to look at it. One way is this is the best offense in basketball. The defense has come around as of late. And because of that, this is a far more dangerous team than they were last year. The other way to look at it is, do we really think that Reggie Jackson is going to shoot 44% from 3 in the playoffs? Do you really think Marcus Morris is going to shoot better than Steph Curry ever has in a playoff run in the playoffs? I don't. And so last night, to me, was another example of them, as they've done through the first 50, 45 games of the season or whatever, shooting lights out and looking great because of it. That, to me, is so clearly and obviously not sustainable that it's concerning for me if they don't continue the uptick on defense that we've seen over the last few weeks that has taken them from the low teens to around 11th or 12th in the league on the defensive side.
No, look, it makes sense. I mean, they've been shooting 42% from 3, and you figure if you do it all year, that's who you are. But look, three-pointer, you're going to live by it, and sometimes you're going to die by it. But I think the defense, Nick, is important and is legitimately improved. Over this 6-game stretch, they've been like 7th in the league defensively. As you noted, they were mediocre all year, but they shouldn't have been mediocre. Yep. That's the thing. This is a team that should be one of the top defensive teams in the league. So if they can sustain this, as you said, defensively, they will be much more dangerous. But I want to focus on the Bucks, and I don't want to exalt the Clippers or bury the Bucks off of one game. But we saw some familiar problems with the Bucks last night. And you talked about the three-point shooting of the Clippers. Well, that's what the Bucks do. Now, their defensive philosophy is to stop any and everything at the rim as much as possible, which is good, but that ends up letting them give up a lot of threes. They're 27th in the league in opponents' three-point attempts. So teams always shoot a lot of threes against Milwaukee, and they make them. They're 22nd in the league in opponents' three-point percentage. So last night, the Clippers, as you said, they got hot, and they buried Milwaukee. And that has happened. They almost had a season-high three-pointers. A number of teams have come close to having a season high or having season highs in threes against the Clippers. The other side of the ball, they backed up off Giannis, and at times he's hitting his shot, and it looks good. But if Ivica Zubac just backed up off of him, gave him the three, gave him the mid-range shot, and Giannis had a subpar game. I know he had 32 points, but only 6 boards and shot 10 of 21, which is low for him. It's his 3rd straight subpar game this year. So those are some concerning things because it can look like the same old problems are going to haunt the Milwaukee Bucks.
Listen, 2 years ago, everybody jumped on the bandwagon when Kawhi went to the Clippers, and then after the bubble, everybody jumped off. I'm the only one that stayed on. Well, there's a couple other people, but I'm one of the only ones on this show and on this network that stayed on this Clippers bandwagon. Look, there's 2 different conversations. Last night, Nick, you're right. They got hot. Luke Kennard, 20 points. I mean, he's averaging, though, 9 points on the season. Marcus Morris, he had 25 last night, but he's averaging 12 on the season. And then you got a Reggie Jackson who went for 21 last night, and he's averaging, 10 points, 9 points on the season. So last night was about them getting hot. But they had a great week of basketball. Last night was their 5th win in a row. This team is really, really good. They're number 1 in offense, like you said, and they're trending to be in the top 10 defense. This team can get it done. The biggest question mark around this team was, do they want to play? We're talking about load management, and we're talking about leadership. They're answering the call night in and night out. They're 32-16. This team is about to start a 9-game stretch, home game stretch, and they're going to probably finish this stretch probably number 1 in the West. Mid-April, note it, write it down. They're going to finish number 1 in the West come mid-April, Wilds.
Okay. So if the Clippers finish number 1 in the West, the Lakers are ailing, they go into the playoffs feeling great. Broussard, time to play a new game called Does This Still Have a Heartbeat? Because Kevin O'Connor wrote yesterday that maybe the Heat weren't giving up a bunch of assets to go after Kyle Lowry because they were just waiting. They were like, let's see what happens to Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi wanted to go out with Jimmy Butler the first time around. Let's just see if the Clippers blow up. Do you think now that still has a heartbeat, even after they're on this winning streak, even after playoff Rondo, they can beat the Bucks? Do you think Kawhi is 100% committed to staying in LA or San Diego when he's there? Or do you think that there's still some, a heartbeat to him leaving?
You never say never, but I would be shocked. Even if the Clippers go out in the second round or the conference finals, whatever it is, I'd be shocked if Kawhi left. I mean, he's already been on 3 teams, and you don't want to keep hopping around all over the place. We know LeBron went back to Cleveland, but that was